Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're exploring a pretty fascinating slice of New England history. I want you to imagine a massive 116-year-old fabric store. You know, the kind that's spent over a century matching patterns, textures, and colorful threads. Well, much like that historic store, the city of Beverly, Massachusetts is literally woven together by these incredible overlapping threads of time and architecture. Every street corner, every brick, every wooden beam, it's like a giant puzzle, a different piece of a rich, vibrant tapestry that tells the story of early America.
But before we start pulling on those threads, I've got a question for you. Where in the country can you find the monument for America's very first cotton mill, actual 17th century first period colonial homes, and a Gothic revival building that served as the summer office for a sitting United States president? You might automatically think of a major metropolis, right, like Boston or Philadelphia, but no way. The answer is hiding right in plain sight on the North Shore of Massachusetts, the remarkable city of Beverly.
Okay, let's dive into this. On our agenda today, first, we'll take a look at the macro picture in a city through time. Then, we'll examine its colonial and maritime roots. From there, we hit the industrial boom of the 19th century before zooming in on historic downtown architecture. And finally, we'll cap ends off with culture and coastal beauty.
All right, starting off with Section 1, a city through time.
So, the architecture of Beverly hasn't just sat frozen in time like some museum exhibit. It's actively evolved over more than 300 years. The buildings you can walk past today actually trace a direct line from a rugged early maritime settlement all the way to a massive industrial powerhouse. To really grasp this, just look at this timeline. You've got the John Balch House from 1679, representing the early first period colonial era. Jump forward a bit to 1787, and the city is literally pioneering America's first cotton mill. By 1839, the railroad arrives, completely transforming the local economy. And then by 1893, you see these massive, intricate brick structures like the Oddfellows Hall soaring over the downtown. You see, this isn't just a list of old dates. It's a physical roadmap of how a city builds its wealth, adapts to new tech, and leaves behind monuments of its success.
Moving right along to Section 2, colonial and maritime roots.
To really understand Beverly, we have to start down by the waterfront. That's where the earliest settlers built their lives, and of course, their fortunes. The structural survivals from this era are absolutely incredible. For instance, we have the John Balch House built in 1679. It's actually one of the oldest wood frame houses in the entire United States, giving us this super rare look into early settler life. Then there's the Exercise Conan House from around 1695, displaying these really fine early Georgian details on a first period core. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the John Hale House right there in the middle, built in 1694 for Beverly's very first minister, Reverend John Hale. Today, it's a nonprofit museum, but its absolute biggest draw? Its deep historical connection and proximity to the infamous Salem witch trials. I mean, these aren't just buildings. They are physical witnesses to some of early America's most intense historical moments. As the settlement grew, the waterfront became the undisputed heartbeat of the local economy. And this is perfectly preserved today in the Fishflake Hill Historic District. Encompassing 35 acres right along Front Street, this area is just packed with 18th century colonial and federal-style homes. This entire neighborhood is a direct result of early maritime wealth. The families and ship captains who fought in the Revolutionary War built these homes, basically turning their shipping successes into the city's very first wave of significant, concentrated architecture. Which brings us to Section 3, the industrial boom. But as we know, economies change and cities have to change right along with them. The 19th century brought explosive growth to Beverly, and the city's architectural footprint shifted pretty dramatically. Let's compare these two eras side by side for a second. For decades, the maritime economy completely ruled. Everything was focused on the water. Waterfront trade, ship captains, coastal districts like Fishflake Hill. But as the industrial economy roared to life, the center of gravity literally moved inland. The city developed this massive new business center. Shoe manufacturing, for example, became a huge industry, and that required massive factories and a completely different type of infrastructure. The wealth was no longer just coming from the sea. It was coming from machines, factories, and overland trade. And Beverly was surprisingly ahead of the curve on this. In 1777, America's very first cotton manufactory was established in North Beverly. There's actually a monument there today marking the site. It really underscores Beverly's pioneering role in early U.S. industrial innovation. They weren't just following the Industrial Revolution, they were actively helping to start it. So the crucial point is 1839. That is the year the railroad arrived. The opening of the Beverly Depot permanently transformed the city's layout. It connected Beverly's growing industries directly to massive regional markets. In fact, the Beverly Depot structure that stands today, which was rebuilt in 1897 out of brownstone, is a magnificent piece of late 19th century railroad architecture. And get this, it is still an active, functioning transit hub today.
All right, let's step into Section 4, Historic Downtown Architecture. Because of that railroad and the booming shoe industry, a completely new downtown emerged, covering 46 acres of primarily late 19th century commercial buildings. And the absolute crown jewel of this district, the Oddfellows Hall. Built in 1893, it is a stunning example of the High Gothic Revival style. Just think about these features: a rich brick and brownstone exterior, sharp-pointed arches, and a striking steep cross-gable roof decorated with polychrome slate tiles. It even has a central roof deck with a wrought iron railing and a cupola. And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute height of late 19th century fraternal architecture. Organizations like the Independent Order of Oddfellows had the immense wealth and, frankly, the civic pride required to build these towering monuments right in the center of town. And here is one of the most fun historical cameos in the city's history. The Oddfellows Hall wasn't just a local landmark. President William Howard Taft actually utilized offices inside this very building during his summer residencies in Beverly. Just imagine the President of the United States conducting national business right out of this Gothic Revival brick building on Cabot Street. Pretty wild, right? Now, while the Oddfellows Hall is spectacular, the downtown corridor actually boasts over 100 historically significant structures. For example, there's the John Cabot House from 1781, which was the city's very first brick mansion, showcasing this beautiful late Georgian and early federal design. Or skip ahead to 1910 to see the U.S. Post Office, featuring grand sandstone classical revival architecture with those iconic Greek columned facades. Alongside the historic Beverly City Hall, these buildings form a literal timeline of prosperity that you can just walk right down. And finally, Section 5, Culture and Coastal Beauty. Moving into the 20th century, as heavy industries eventually shifted away, Beverly did something really smart. They repurposed their incredible historic wealth into a vibrant cultural hub. If you were to create a cultural must-visit itinerary today, it'd probably look something like this. Step 1, catch a show at the Cabot Theater. Opened in 1920, it's a gorgeous Mediterranean Revival performing arts center, complete with frescoed ceilings and a golden dome. Step 2, go see live music at the Larkham Theater. Built in 1912 by the Ware brothers, it features a beautifully restored oak and marble lobby. And step 3, view some cutting-edge art at Montserrat College, which seamlessly restored the 1909 brick and stone Hardy Elementary School into digital fab labs and modern galleries. The city hasn't discarded its history. It literally lives inside it every single day. Let's move to and see how this builds into an appreciation for the natural landscape, forming a direct connection back to the very waterfront where the city was born. You see, Beverly isn't just brick and brownstone. It has intentionally preserved its coastal beauty for everyone to enjoy. You can stroll through Lynch Park, a 16-acre point park featuring stunning Italianate gardens. You can relax on the family-friendly sands of Dane Street Beach, taking the dramatic ocean views and rocky ledges at Independence Park, or walk the 1.13-mile sandy stretch of West Beach in Beverly Farms. The natural landscape here is treated with the exact same reverence as the architecture. And speaking of the coast, I want to share one final, really enduring piece of active history to bring things full circle. The Hospital Point Range front light, built from brick in 1872 to guide vessels into Salem Harbor, isn't just some dusty museum piece. Sitting on its original granite foundation, it is still in service today, operating with its original third-order Fresno lens. It is the perfect symbol for Beverly, deeply historic, built to last, and still actively shining a light on the North Shore. We've just traced an amazing journey today, from 17th century colonial homes and witch trial lore through America's first cotton mill and Gothic Revival halls, all the way to modern Mediterranean theaters and active lighthouses. It really makes you appreciate how layered our physical environments actually are. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought. The next time you walk down your own main street or pass by a brick building you've probably ignored 1,000 times, take a closer look. What stories are hiding in the historic buildings of your own hometown? Keep your eyes open and keep learning. Thanks for joining me on this journey.